Tonight, I have the absolute honour of introducing a woman whose life reads like a masterclass in purpose, impact, and empowerment. Joining us is Varvara Athanasiou-Ioannou, an accomplished educator, human resources leader, and an academic whose career has been shaped by deep and unwavering passion for diversity, inclusion, and women's empowerment. From early days in the Victorian Education Department, where she played a pivotal role in developing multicultural curriculum, including national program for teaching Greek, through to senior leadership roles with Ericsson Australia and Australia Post, Varvara has consistently driven cultural change, equity, and well-being across every space she has touched. But what truly sets her apart is her heart-led global impact. She's the founder of the Food for Thought Network, a not-for-profit organisation empowering women through mentorship, leadership, and international collaboration. During COVID-19, she created the Greek Women and Friends Global Forum, connecting women across continents, and this powerful movement became the catalyst for the inaugural Global Women and Hellenic Conference in Greece in 2024, uniting voices from around the world in a landmark celebration of identity, leadership, and gender equity. She's also an author, educator, and mentor. Her inspired book, Her Voice, Greek Women and Their Friends, shines a light on 42 remarkable women who have overcome barriers and broken through limitations with courage and resilience. Born in Greece and arriving in Australia at just the age of 19, Varvara's journey is one of determination, vision, and profound contribution. Today, she continues to teach, mentor, and advocate, championing social justice, human rights, and opportunities for migrant and refugee women. A true trailblazer, a connector of people, and a powerful voice for change. I'd like to welcome to the show Varvara Athanasiou-Ioannou, first time on our show. Now, we hope we can hear. Can you hear us, Varvara?
Καλησπέρα. Thank you so much,
Καλησπέρα,
Roula,
Varvara μου. Να σε
for
καλά.
that amazing, very generous introduction. And thank you. And finally, I made it to your show. You've asked me several times, and I'm glad that I'm here tonight to talk to you. Thank you very, very much. I'm very touched with that generous introduction.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I was going to call you Athanasia, συγγνώμη. Varvara μου, it's been in the making for a long time, as you have actually just stated. Αλλά τι λένε οι Έλληνες, το καλό καμιά φορά αργεί. Έτσι δεν είναι?
Ναι.
Κάπως έτσι.
Κάπως έτσι, ναι. Και συναντηθήκαμε
Did I
πριν
get it
μερικά
all right?
χρόνια.
Yes,
Μετά το COVID, θυμάμαι.
That's when we met. We caught up down in Oakley at Nichols Cafe.
Okay.
I remember, don't you worry about that. I can't remember what I wore, but I do remember meeting you and having a really lovely conversation with you. And slowly, we've been catching up in various events, Greek events, and I believe we've formed a very lovely, respectful, and trustworthy relationship. And now I'm also part of your organization, Food for Thought. And I'm hoping that tonight it will encourage other women to also join, because I believe, different women have different mindsets, skill sets, and something to offer. And it's very empowering. And when we all get together, it is very uniting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's what it's all about. And we'll talk, and hopefully we can inspire other women to join and come to on Sunday.
Hopefully, that's it. On Sunday, guys, there is an event at 3:00 at Cafe Greco. It is free entry. You basically just pay for whatever you want to buy, whether it's coffee, cake, food, wine, you name it. And that's where you'll meet Varvara in person and meet otherwise, and it'll be a great networking session as well. Varvara, I want to touch on you first. Now, the event I have shared on my page and on my platforms as well, and will continue to do so after the show for those that haven't seen it of late. I'd love to start at the beginning of your journey because it's such a powerful one. You arrived in Australia at 19 years old. That's a very vulnerable age. You're kind of leaving teenagehood. You're getting now into the journey of becoming an adult. And it's a time when you need parents around you, mentors around you. But when you reflect on that time now, what stands out to you the most about that transition, and how did it shape the woman you've become now?
It was hard, but also I was very lucky because my family had migrated to Australia first. So they left me behind to finish high school in Greece. So I've lived away from home from the age of 13, and I'm fairly unlike a lot of Greek women, my generation, because I lived away from home from the age of 13 with my cousin. I had an auntie who was the guardian, and I had a lot of freedom, but living in a small village or a small community, freedom has its limitations because you've got the whole community looking after you, and
Exactly.
if you step out of the right thing, your parents would know.
Everyone knows about it.
You will get in trouble. So yeah, so it was sort of coming to Australia and reuniting with my family was great because there was a home. We lived in Brunswick, and there was a community there. So my parents had already built a Greek community in Brunswick. They introduced me to the school. Then we're talking about more than 50 years ago. There were not a lot of people that had trained teachers or people that had finished high school in Greece. So straight away I was employed to teach Greek in their schools. So my transition wasn't bad. I had no English. So I used to go
Wow.
to every school I could find to learn English. And the dictionary was my best friend. I still have dictionaries everywhere around, but now with Google and AI, it's much easier.
I just want to go back one step when the chorior that you came from, the village in Greece. What was that chorior that you came from?
The Horiomu, it's called Prodromi Thesprotias. And I went to near the town where I finished high school. Yeah,
What region is that in Greece? Just for those that don't know,
in Thesprotia, is nomos Thesprotias, is in Ipiros.
in
Ipiros.
Epirus. Sa Gianina.
And Gianna is the next nomo, right? It's
Okay,
nomos
near Gianina.
Thesprotias, nomos Artas, nomos, υπάρχουν διάφοροι νομοί. Ναι. So, ήμουν κοντά στην Οικουμενίτσα και κοντά στα Γιάννενα τώρα. Μισή ώρα είναι από τα Γιάννενα, αλλά είναι διαφορετικός νομός. Και όπως θα ξέρεις, τη τελευταία εκδήλωση που κάναμε ήταν για την πρώτη Ελληνίδα που ήρθε στην Αυστραλία, που είναι ακριβώς από τα δικά μου μέρη, από το νομό Θεσπρωτείας. So έχουμε αυτές τις... Sorry, I'm going through Greek and English.
That's okay. That's what we want. That's okay. I've got some non-Greek listeners, but what happens? They get on the live chat, and the Greek listeners actually explain to them certain things that they ask, which is fantastic. I really do love my lives like this and that interaction with the Gosmo.
Yes.
Was there a defining moment when you realised that your life's path would be centred around empowering women, driving inclusion at that time?
Well, coming to Australia at that time, I realized that, I've lost all my support networks, all of my friends were back in Greece, and I had to rebuild that here in Australia, learning English and then friendships, and deciding what to do. I couldn't go to study straight away at the university because I didn't have much English. But I had a very supportive family and who supported me and to do whatever I wanted to do. But I didn't go to university straight away. I got some jobs, different jobs, and again I was very lucky. And because I had finished high school in Greece, parents had an established network. I was able to get a job at a Greek newspaper back then, a travel agency, and then I applied for a job at a bank, and I hated it because I'm not a numbers person. then
But
I
you are definitely a person, Varvara.
then I set exam, the public service exam, and I got a job at the police department,
Wow.
where they used to get all the fines. Penalties office, police department. It was in Brown. I stayed at that job the longest before I went to study to become a teacher. And yeah, I realized that I loved teaching. I loved, the empowerment that came through teaching, and realized that once a teacher, always a teacher. Although then I progressed in different fields, it was fantastic to distant degree. Although psychology was my first preference, and I got into it at Monash, but because it was so far away from home, I decided to go with the teaching degree, because back then you could get a studentship as well, and a scholarship.
Wow.
And that was very so after the advice that I had from all of my father's friends was teaching was a really good profession, and I should really take that up. So I did, and I've never regretted it. So in terms of defining moment for women's empowerment came later in life when I changed careers, because I've got a career in education doing very different things. You're trained to be a teacher. You expect that your first job will go into a school. Mine wasn't. Mine was the first appointment was a publications officer for the child migrant education,
Wow.
where I was responsible for a magazine and an internal publication called Communique. And when I was offered that job, I had a moment thinking, imposter syndrome. How can I do this? I'd only been in Australia for about 5 years. My English is not good enough. How can I do this? So I had met some really lovely Greek women, Teachers Association, that was starting back then. And they said, yeah, you can do it. You can do it, Varvara. And that
You
gave
already had women empowering you.
yeah,
You're
ακριβώς.
empowering yourself because you're taking all the different steps to get within different areas to learn the language.
That's
You're
right.
networking, which is something that your parents already showed you, because you
Yeah,
did state earlier that your parents did have a network. So that DNA is already in you, and you're actually empowering yourself and having people empowering you to, at some point,
that's right.
you got your
And
voice and
it was really interesting. Then in that first job, the publications, I was very nervous. But then there was a senior woman, an English speaking, a wonderful teacher who embraced me, took me under her arms. And it was fantastic to have like a mentor in my first appointment, and took me under her wings, and she would help me. So I would source the articles that we would put in this magazine called Polycom, and she was a fantastic editor. She was actually the teacher of Olivia Newton. I knew back then about Olivia from her teacher. So it
wow.
was an amazing partnership. So, and then after that, it was the time where multiculturalism was starting to take place. And the area that I worked in collaborated with the department, with the education department of South Australia, and created a curriculum for the teaching of. So I was invited to be one of those curriculum writers. So I've got a very fortunate, really, very privileged career, I would say, because this was such a creative job. And there were three of us from Victoria and another three from South Australia. And we had a curriculum that was based on the communicative approach, not grammar based. It was on the latest research that came out of the Council of Europe. And it was just an amazing experience. And at that time, we had about 70 schools, state schools, offering the teaching of Greek, primary and secondary
Wow.
schools, where today we don't even have 10. It's less than 10.
Wow.
So it was a golden age, I would say, for Greek in the state system, the late 70s, 80s. and that was fantastic. Then I went into a primary school to implement what we were doing. After getting an award and going to Greece on a scholarship and having a
Wow.
baby, coming back, I went
Wow.
into a school, and I taught in a bilingual program. So in a Western school, and I had Prep 1 and 2, about 30, and there
Wow.
was no internet then. You could not. I had to translate resources, run them through the Ronio machine. I don't know whether people know what I'm
Yeah, all
talking
that, yes.
about. And deliver the curriculum in Greek, because the kids that were coming to school didn't speak much English. So we were delivering the curriculum in Greek
Wow.
and then getting immersed into English. So that was one really the most difficult jobs, being in a classroom, and I stayed there at that school for 3 years.
But you persevered,
And
Varvara.
I
You
look
learned
at
English
photos, I
pretty.
look at photos now, back then, and I look like an old lady because I was working all
No, you
hours,
don't look like an old lady.
trying
Do not say that.
to be.
Do not say
It,
that.
it was like a lot of hard work, but it was worth it because my classroom had become the showcase of the education department. They used to
Wow.
bring all the visitors from interstate to my school, and then they had a program on television. I remember my program was shown back then. It
Wow,
would
now
go now a
programs are
long
shown on Channel
time ago.
31. You hit the top mark.
Channel 31 actually featured a lot of the work with
Yeah.
when Rena Frankioudaki
Oh, she's
was
she's
at
the queen of radio.
Channel
Let's face
31.
that. Yes.
She
An
used to
iconic.
come to all the events, and we'll talk about Food for Thought in a minute. And she used to record and play one. Unfortunately, I have no records of those. Neither has she. I don't know what has happened,
Oh,
but we don't have the records of all those early programs that we did and the functions. But
okay.
yeah, that was an interesting. And then I became a consultant. After that, after the 3 years I was invited to go in teaching of Greek. So I used to go around all the schools and helping the teachers that were teaching Greek and advising them how to make their lessons more interesting and methodology. I was running seminars, and then that led to me becoming a consultant for oral education and running lots of seminars. And then
That is just
um,
amazing from someone who was 19 years old and came to Australia and did not know how to speak English. And you know what? It's people like you. It's people like you that show what Australia has to offer. If you want to work hard and embrace Australia, the opportunities are there. There is opportunity here, but you have to
absolutely,
embrace
you've got
and
to
you have
take
to work hard. You've
part,
got to work
and
hard.
I'm still learning. I went on an international teaching fellowship after had that consultancy role to Greece, where I started my master's. I came back, and then during the Kennett government, half of my team, and I had 9 people reporting to me at that time. And when I came back, they made their jobs, and there I was in a big office by myself, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? They were offering packages for teachers to go into industry, and I thought, I'm going to try and get one of these. So I did.
Well
So I
done.
went to a telecommunications company, and it was a big risk because I took a contract for. They didn't want me. They wanted me to resign from the education department, so they took me on for 3 months, and I took that risk, and I've never regretted it. So it was a good transition because as a consultant and as a teacher, you have a lot of transferable skills. So when I went to this company, I was employed as a recruitment consultant. Okay. So the first job, I had to recruit 6 people. Okay. And back then, there were not many logistics people in Australia. I didn't even know what a logistics person was.
But you were recruiting,
I
Varvara.
learned. way. We had to bring somebody from Sweden, okay? And then I built relationships with the universities and brought in students who we trained, and then they got full-time jobs in the area that I was working. Beginning of building those relationships with the universities, the industry. I got invited to be on the RMIT logistics committee. I was the only woman there apart from the secretary. And when I was asked to go there, I said, what do I know? But I don't know anything about logistics. And the managers, the logistics manager says, no, Varvara, you go. So to get back then, I realized how the world works. They were heard. So if I wanted to produce, to get my voice heard, I had to talk to somebody who was from BHP during the breaks, come up with the idea and say, well, I think we should be doing X, Y, and Z. And then name, Colin would go back on the committee and would say, the idea, and everybody said, yes, yes, yes. So that's how I learned to play the game.
Well,
and that was
play
my
the game.
first experience on a board.
Now let's fast forward now, because one of the things that I absolutely admire about you is your heart-led work as the founder of the Food for Thought Network. What gap did you see in the world that made you say this needs to exist, and then you built it?
Take you back to 2000 Olympics, August 2000 Olympics. I was in a very toxic relationship. I had left the first company that I had transitioned as a HR onto another company, a large organization. And I had experienced not only bullying and harassment, racism, but also ageism, because I was in my 40s when I had did the career transition. So getting to the Gold Coast, went with my kids from the balcony, thank God, to one of my friends that was there and took my kids. So I was so depressed and I nearly break down. I nearly had a breakdown. And I thought, if I'm feeling like this in my despair, there'd be a lot of other women like me that have gone through. Why don't I try to create something that will help me to get my mind off this negativity and relationship that would also help other women? So after a year's research, I came up with the idea of creating a network that would bring women together, it would have an educational focus, and would deal with issues current at women's development. And that's what I did. After a year, I came up with a business plan. I invited 10 women and asked them to bring a friend. It was based on the idea of the ancient Greek symposiums. I wanted to have food with it, a motivational speaker, and that's how we did it. So in May 2001, the first event at a place I had thought of it all. I wanted to support, I wanted to create something that didn't exist in the Greek community. I didn't want to duplicate anything that was there, because all of the first generation and what they did what they could and what they knew and what the need was. My need and the women's needs was very different. But I wanted to support also the Greek owners, the Greek restaurants, where I needed to have a separate room so the first event took place, and I called it The Power of Networking, exploring the rationale for this network. So they had about 22 women came along. And I remember I had a PowerPoint, I remember 25 years ago. My son at the time was, I think, in year 11 or year 12. He came along and he set up the computer and the PowerPoint. And I was very ambitious, wanted to do this on a second month. And the people that came there and said, Varvara, are you serious? You want to do this every second month? try 4 events a year. And then, so we did 4 events a year, and it grew from a small, network.
To a
And I
huge
was
connection. That's
doubted.
global.
What Varvara want to do? Who out? Um, all the stuff that we women go through, and we're doubted, we are not supported. And I think people started to think that this was really serious after I raised some very difficult issues in 2005. There was only Prony at the time and Food for Thought that raised that issue. It was the hardest thing that I had to organize. And then
And it
people
still is
realized
a hard thing to organise. It's
this is
very
not a
sensitive.
social group. It's a
Yeah.
group that wants to empower women. And from then on, things improved.
But
Yes.
listening
So
to all this, what was one of the most powerful transformations that you've witnessed in the women you've worked with?
well, a lot of the women
Mine.
back then, Rula, it wasn't cool to be Greek like it is today. So
Yeah,
what I
now
have
everybody wants
seen
to be
is
Greek.
women, yeah. And the reason I called it Food for Thought Network, it was because if I called it Greek Australia, and Greek, people wouldn't come. So I saw the transformation that I saw is that when the women came there, and you can't have talking about their professions and their in Greek, they haven't got, you can't, right? So all of the events ran in English. But what happened was in their tables after the discussion, after the motivational speaker, people would start talking in Greek, and some people who had denied their identity then went on to get Greek passports. They're the kind of stories that make me really happy, and what the network has been able to achieve.
So during COVID, when the world felt so disconnected, you brought women
Uh,
together globally through your forum. What did that moment teach you about connection and leadership?
well, during COVID, that's when I realized that things have changed now. When the Greek Women and Friends Global Forum, all these women wanted to be part of this, and it grew so quickly, the network. And we would gather every Sunday, and we discuss issues to deal with. And during that time was a lot of issues around relationships, about parenting, about health, COVID, and so forth. And everybody wanted to be part of engagement, because the group that I set up is closed. It's a closed book, and it's the only one exclusive to women. All the other media that we've got are open to everyone. So this is the only group that is exclusive to women. So that really made the network more known that it was. And the network is there's about 160 events that we've run so far, 25 years, a global
Including
conference,
that's right,
and
the
a
Global
book.
Women at Hellenism conference in Greece. That was a huge milestone for you.
It was that talk making, and I don't know. I'm still pinching myself how this came about, because we started with zero budget, and we did a fundraising with my team, and approached a few people in the community, and they donated some money. I think we raised about 15,000, and then I went and approached the best hotel in Yanina, a 5-star accommodation hotel, and I said, "Look, I'm a volunteer. I have no money. I want you to give me the best rate that you can from all around the world for this conference. What can you do?"
Wow.
And they did.
Done.
And
They
then
did.
I also went to the regional office, and the mayor of Yanana. And I said the same. I'm not coming here as an academic I'm coming here as a volunteer. I don't want money. I want you to support me with whatever you want to do. And with my team, we put out an expression of interest of what we wanted to do. And when the women in the group saw what we were doing, everybody said, we had about 180 responses saying, wow, we want to be part of this. And then we went back with a specific program and we said, we call abstracts, and we received over 60 abstracts from women and men from around the world. We, with the committee, we looked through them and we identified 44, I think, 44. And, the rest is history. It was such a fantastic conference and everybody loved it and they're still talking about it. And as a result of that, now we've got a global following and we're continuing the seminars now online. And it's great to have people from America, from Europe, from Greece participating and working and learning from one another and being able to support other women, connect and mentor them. A very
Your story, we could be on radio for 2 hours. Obviously, we don't have that time, but I've got a few questions I need to get through with you.
Okay.
We touched earlier when I introduced you about the book, Her Voice, and you shared stories of 42 women. What's the common thread that connects them all?
Okay, the common thread is that they are all professional women. The majority of them were born in Australia. Okay, and they've got Greek heritage. There's 30 that have got Greek heritage, and 12 of their non-Greek friends who came to the network, okay, are supporters or sponsors. So the women that have had something to do with the network, either as speakers, as attendees, or sponsors. So the common thread is that they've all got the Greek heritage, but also what I wanted to show through this book, Roula, was as much as it is possible to show in a single publication. And my message was I wanted this book to be read not just from women. I wanted the book to be read by CEOs, by managers, by parents, to see that there's all this talent out there of these women that aren't equally represented in positions of power. So that was the aim of the book, to show the diversity. But out of that book is people have talked about all the issues, the current issues that they've faced. So I interviewed them and asked them a few questions. And you've got in there people dealing with domestic violence, mental health illness, overcoming abusive parents. There are parents that were enabling them to succeed, and others that they were enabling fathers and disabling fathers. People that accepted people's sexuality and others don't. I've got 2 gay women in the book, and shared their stories, but in the end, they didn't want to be included in the book. One of them is an academic and says her parents were very accommodating and accepted her, where the other woman didn't come out until her 40s, till her parents died. She came from a family that the father was a gambler, he was abusive, and then you've got all the other issues. It raise issues about the Indigenous, raise issues about all the current issues. I can't think at the moment.
I want to go a bit deeper.
But the book, yeah, go on.
What still frustrates you today when it comes to gender equality?
What is there?
Because you do talk about gender equality. What still frustrates you today with all these findings and people that you speak to?
What frustrates me in terms of the migrant non-English speaking background, there is a lot of talent We've got the talent, we've got everything, but the opportunities, we don't get the same opportunities as people that is the Anglo-Saxon women. So that is a big frustration. Sadly, I must say that women, this is really sad, but I'll have to say it, women don't always support women.
No, absolutely they don't.
No.
I had last week on my show.
It's sad, but I've got to say, I have experienced both women helping me, but also not helping, and not only not helping, but trying to knock me down and not, shame. The big message that I want to give you, it's a complex question what you've asked me. There's many layers to it, Roula. It's there's systemic, and the systems have not been created by women or women of non-English, so they cut out a lot of people like you and me to move up the ladder in at the top. We've got a lot of really professional women in the education sector. I think a lot of Greek women have done really well in academia, in universities, but not many.
We also got a lot of young women that are going into law compared to
there's a lot of lawyers, and law is, of course, all the Greeks wanted their kids to be doctors and lawyers, and we do have a lot of lawyers. Lawyers are, it's a tough job, and some of them, have set up their own, and they've done very well. We've got lots of really good women lawyers, and as a women's network, we always, refer them to those amazing lawyers that deal with family violence and, all the issues that Greek women face.
Last week, sorry, Varvara, I'm going to interrupt you only because we're going to run out of time otherwise. Because we can talk all night, but the show finishes at 9:30.
Absolutely. Please do ask, yes.
Last week, I had on the show the CEO of Bully Zero Australia, Janet Grimmer, who we touched on women, and we did touch on there's a lot of bullying now also going on, women with women. There's been a shift, as what you're saying. Do you think that sometimes women hold themselves back? And if so, how do we begin to shift that when we're also fighting with bullying and women not supporting women?
It all starts with the self-esteem, Roula. It takes a bit of time to get on top of it. Things are better now in terms of the systems that are in place, and you can complain. But if you complain, sometimes you're not heard. When I was bullied back then, nobody would listen to me. People would side with the manager, who was the bully, right? The hierarchy will side with the hierarchy. And a lot of the women can't go through it because they are so bullied and so tired from what they're experiencing that they just give up. So that's one side of the story. The other thing is women, that have made it to the top, especially 25 years ago when I started the network, they had taken the masculine side of things, and they were saying, well, if nobody helped me, why would I help anybody else? That has changed. That has changed now, and there are a lot more women willing to give a helping hand, but there are still women that will not help you.
That's right.
Okay.
For anyone
I want to focus that have got their heart in the right place and have got the abundance mentality to say, well, there's enough in this world for everyone. Let's all join together and let's help. And that's what we're trying to,
Through food
do
for
through
thought,
the network and
the
through
network.
the events,
Food for thought.
motivational speakers and the issues that we're raising.
For anyone that's listening tonight who might feel stuck, overlooked, or unsure of the next step, what would you say to them? Other than telling them to be at the Food for Thought next event that's coming up on Sunday, 3 o'clock in Oakley, what would you say to them?
Well, they need to get help. First of all, talk to somebody else to someone that they trust. If their friendships are very important, having a support network at work, but also outside of work is really, really important, because you need to talk to someone, and it takes a bit of time. If you're bullied and you're in talks, your self-esteem goes down. It takes time for you to get up, and you need organizations these days have EAP programs where the psychologist and get support. But to get all of that done, it is really, it takes a whole lot of time and effort, and it's just difficult. But what I would say is, if somebody is in that relationship, before they get to the bottom, to try and find another job, get out of the organization, try
That's right.
apply for a job, rather than being down and losing your job and then not being able to. So the advice that I give to women is, if the work where you are is not working for you, put your
Get
effort
out.
to try and get another job elsewhere. Get out,
Get out. That's it.
because
Fantastic
yeah,
advice, Varvara.
yeah, get out.
And I mean, again, we've got to reflect what you did from the age of 19, coming to a country where you didn't even know the language. Now, to finish with something a little bit more fun, one word that defines you. I can think of many, but I need you just to pick one.
Passion.
You definitely are passionate. Okay. All right.
Without passion,
And
you can't do anything. Like you have the passion of, when I
passion.
met you, my God, and where you're now, I'm just in awe what you've been
Do
able
remind
to
me of that, and
achieve,
I
and
do
you're
appreciate it.
watch you every week, and it's just upbeat and so happy. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Varvara. A woman who inspires you?
Many women that inspire me. I get inspiration from, everybody talks about their family, and the younger women, like my daughter, I don't know how she does it. She's got two young kids, a global role. She's sent to America one week, England the next, travels, not uh, she travels not to business class. They won't pay business class, economy class, and then he has to pick it up. But she does it all. I can't talk to her during the week. She just goes from one meeting to the other. Starts at 6:30 in the morning because she's got a glow. So yeah, and then of course there are all the women, that have been in history. I've got Greek women. There are many women. When you look at the pioneers, you look at that Ginsburg, the lawyer, the first lawyer. And then you look at because of NASA these days. I don't know whether you've got Hidden Figures. Remember a woman that helped for the NASA to get the first. Gosh, I'm losing my words.
That's okay.
And she experienced so much racism back then. She couldn't even go to the toilet. So there's all of those women, the pioneers, that have
That inspired you. Varvara,
really paid. And
and I'm going to keep cutting you short because we're running out of time. Your personal life motto.
my personal life.
Motto.
What did you? Sorry, say that again.
your personal life motto or your legacy that you want to leave behind?
That I've made a difference, and, ότι έχω βάλει ένα λιθαράκι. I've left the world better than what I found it. So that's my legacy. I think the record of what, and I don't know, it's the how many people have been affected. It's the ripple effect. I know the women that I've mentored, those I've helped, but I don't know.
That's okay.
I don't know how many. Whenever I meet people out, they said, "Oh, you did this and this," and I've forgotten all about it. But it's nice to get that. But what drives me is this passion, and I'm 24/7. Food for thought is like my third child. 25 years later, I'm still passionate about it. But my energy, I haven't got the same energy as I did 25 years ago. So looking for successes. And if anybody is hearing us out there and really wants to drive change and revamp and create more opportunities and better ways of doing things, I would love to hear from them and for them to, because
On
Sunday
Sunday
is
at
not
10
really
o'clock,
what we
Oakley
do.
Cafe
It's
Coco.
just a social event, which we don't have many social events. But because of the crisis at the moment and the war, and people need to get out, and we've made it free. And because of free public transport and people coming from all over,
Going to be
they can
very
jump.
easy.
Oakley is
That's it. The
is
centre.
that's why we chose Oakley and made it, just free. People can just come along and meet other people. And we've got interesting women that come that are curious about what's happening in the world. And interesting conversations occur. And somebody might say one word that can trigger things in you. And that's how transformation sometimes happens. It may not happen through a program as such, but it's a conversation, a casual conversation. And when you meet someone that can, for instance, say, "Hey, I hadn't thought of that. I might try that." Or can I have a coffee with that person and follow up and I might learn something. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Varvara, you are truly inspiring. On that note, it's been an absolute honor speaking with you tonight. Your work, your energy, your commitment to empowering women globally is truly inspiring. I want to thank you for everything you're doing and for sharing your life story so far with us. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to now cut the interview because we've only got literally 15 minutes to go. I want you to enjoy the rest of the program. And we will see you on Sunday, Cafe Greco, 3 p.m. sharp in Oakley.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Great.
I will have you back on
having a
another time.
conversation.
Don't worry. We'll cover one topic at a time per session.
Okay.
Varvara, thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
And you've been listening to my conversation with the incredible Varvara Athanasiou-Ioannou, author, educator, mentor, and a global change maker. This next song I'm going to dedicate to everybody after this amazing, inspiring story. We could have had it here all night, but we are running out of time. Let's go on to, and Tony, you did ask for this. It's Glika Glika. It's another version. Enjoy.